Welcome everybody to Eagles Haven Ministry. We welcome you to the Eagles Haven Upper Room in beautiful Banning, California. My name is Eliyahu, and we're going to have an exciting Shabbat service. And we must be determined, without a doubt, to speak His Shem, His name, and to proclaim and to know who we are in Elohim. We must understand who we are, know who we are, and speak it with quickened, sure confidence of emunah in these end times of all the things that are going on in Israel with Pope Francis wanting to visit and take over certain areas of Jerusalem and bringing in those spirits. And then also on Mount Carmel, the Baha, I don't like to use the word, but they call themselves the Baha Faith, a Middle Eastern group of worshipers of Baal, setting up the temple of Baal all over again in Mount Carmel, in the mountain, the same place where Eliyahu conquered them. He's there activating again, bringing in the New World Order with the United Nations and the Pope, and marching and protesting against the religious people of Jerusalem, and unity with the Catholicism and the Palestinians. So we must be aggressive to understand who we are and proclaim it. Many believers of Yahuah they don't know what to say. They need to be determined, and I'm going to be teaching some things in the future, what to say, who we are, until you get your DNA and actually know who you are. I met some people that were Sepharim, which is a scriptural word for lawgivers of the house of a tribe of a certain particular man of emunah in the word. There was a lawgiver, and their ancestry came from them, and they didn't even know it, and they moving back to Jerusalem. And it's amazing because they said, now I can say what I am with confidence. The problem with the most of us is that we're so in this stigma, and we've been discussing it among the leadership here. There's this stigma going on that we have to be called something. If you're Israel, you're Israel. That's your emunah. Everybody knows that the name Yahuah, the Creator, is the Elohim or Eloah of Yisrael. And no matter what tribe you are, like one person asked me, what are you? What denomination? What religion? I said, I'm Hebrew. I am Yisrael, and I'm the house of Ephraim. That's what I am. He said, well, okay. And then about 5-10 minutes later, he asked me, well, what does all that mean? I said, that means I worship Yahuah, the Elohim, the Aloha of Yisrael, of Israel. That's who I serve. I am not trying to be of the tribe of Judah. I am not grafted in or assimilated in the modern assimilation that they do in conversion today. But I am from that house. And that's what I am. That's who we worship. And you could be grafted into the house of Israel. Let me show you how. And it was real exciting to see the question come up and the opportunity. But it has to say, it's like even if Chuck, if he goes somewhere and somebody says, hey, what tribe are you in? And go, I'm a Christian. I'm in that. No, he's going to say what tribe he is. He's going to say what house he's from. He's going to say what area he's from with boldness and confidence. Because see, people can see if you're bold and confident. That means you know that you know that you know and have emunah of who you are. Are you hearing me in your house? And I even met an Irish guy that said, yeah, I'm from the clan of so-and-so and our ancestors, and he knew the tribe ancestor from Israel. With boldness. He said, my ancestors sojourning to Ireland and through Scotland to Ireland, and this is what I am, and I'm Israel. Plain and simple, with boldness. And that's where we don't need the stigma in the clique, because it's becoming very obvious to us, but to the house of the Christian community, it is totally sad that they don't really know who they are, number one, but they call themselves Christians, and they have no idea that the word Christian is Catholicism. They're the authors of that word. It is a morph word of Christi, or a morph word of a Christianing, with a bottle of champagne on a pagan deity, which really they did oil and wine on the pagan deity. They Christianized them, and that's the meaning of that type of anointing. And it's a morph word. It has no root meaning to the house of Israel. So we are of the anointed ones of Yahushua. We're his followers, and that's who we are today. I welcome you, all the mishporka, all the goyim and the sojourners and the goy coming in. I welcome the gorim, the ones that are coming in to be grafted into the house, as well as the goyim, the sojourner. I welcome all the Christian community to hear this message today and get an outburst, an explosion of revelation of understanding. Who is your mighty one? Is he the mighty one of Yisrael? Is he El Shaddai, Almighty, the mighty one, Almighty? Is he El Roi? Is he your Elohim? Is he your Aloha? Is he your Elohim? Who is he? Can you honestly, with strength behind your voice and confidence in your emunah, tell somebody who he is? We're going to look at some scriptures. We're just going to have some fun and read some verses and go down the line. It would take hours or several sessions, and it would become too repetitive if I showed everything that people said who they were. But we're going to see what others called the followers of Yahuwah, or the Ibri, the Hebrew Israelites. What do they call their creator? Okay, and not just the Ibri and not just the Yisrael that claimed the name of Yahuwah. There was others throughout the region that knew the name of Yahuwah, that knew the Ayah Asher Ayah. They knew the Eternal One. They knew who he was, even that they were in the surrounding areas when Israel was sojourning for those 40 years, and it was evident in the scriptures. So we're going to go ahead and tune in scriptures, and we're going to go to Shemot, Exodus. And we're going to start with verse chapter 3, verse 6. But as you turn your finger to the pages, there's a few little knickknacks I want to share with you. The word El, or mighty one, or mighty deity, is Hebrew number 410. It's actually 242 times used as mighty, or a mighty one. Of an example, L-E-L, capital E-L, or little E-L, is used in Spanish as well. It's been brought into the Roman language and then into the Spanish language as a mighty one. El Señor, El Don, blah, blah, blah. And they have this terminology that's actually Aramaic or Hebrew. Okay. Then you have also the Hebrew number 430, which is 2,366 times, and it's a divine title name used with capital or small caps as a mighty one for pagan deities, or a mighty one focusing on the pluralism of Yahuwah as Elohim. Then there's Hebrew number 433, which is Aloha or Elohim, if you want to go plural. So we like to use Elohim or Aloha, because the E in the phonetic sounds, as we learn more and more in time, the phonetic lines and the law of phonetic sound with little lines telling you if it's up, like a little what they call like an A-frame house that's sitting on top of a letter. If it's an E and it has that has an A sound. If it's a line, that's a long sound. If it's inverted, it's a solid, grunt, strong E sound. So a lot of those things have gone away in our books. When I was growing up in school, a lot of the phonetic lines were still in the education field. Now they're just like drifted off in this last 2 generations. And the same thing in scriptures. You find, I used to have an 1860-something King James, and it had a lot of phonetic sound lines. And it showed you that now it's like phased away, with all the language difference of today. And we're bringing in the difference between like a Louisiana or a Texas, or these little accents in the language, instead of unifying in the right phonetic sounds. So Aloha is more personal. It's Ezra, Daniel, and several other books that were written in that form of Aramaic that is a personal, singular, like, hear, O Israel, Yahuwah is our Aloha, meaning singular, one. He is one Elohim, or one Aloha. So, and many of the books have only that. They don't use the pluralism of Elohim or Elohim. Okay, so as we go on now to that's research for you in the future to go in more. Go with me to chapter 3, like we said, and we're going to start at verse 6 and look at it. And he said, I am Eloha of your father, the Elohim of Abraham, Elohim of Ishak, Elohim of Jacob. And Moshe hid his face, and he was afraid to look at Eloha. And so he explained who he was to him in a personal way. He says, I am the same one, the same deity that your forefathers worshipped, and I am the one appearing to you. And so as we look at that as a fundamental beginning stage, now let's look at verse 13. And Moshe said to Eloha, see, when I come to the children of Yisrael and say to them, the Elohim of your fathers has sent me to you, and they say to me, what is his name, or Shem? What should I say to them? I must correct something here and be solid about it. It's a whole, you can do a whole sermon about it. But when you look it up in the Hebrew, in these Strong's or Richardson or a lexicon, the word, what is his name, is not existing. That doesn't exist. Is his does not exist. So it would be the Hebrew word, it would be the word ma, which is what, and then Shem, and then shall I doesn't exist either. And it'll be what again, ma, say to them. And it'll mean asher or haya. So he's explaining to them, basically when you look at the word what twice, what he's doing is Hebrew number 8034. He's saying how or when or why. So he's giving them a question different. Is like he knew the Creator's name. He just said, well, when do I do it? Or how do I do it? You follow what I'm saying? But in the English translation, they diluted it by adding these English filler words, and it looks like he didn't even know Eloha's name. But we know from the beginning of Scripture, in the beginning of Genesis, they said, and men began to worship Yahuah from the beginning. This is even before the flood. So, and then of course, Noah knew the name as well. Okay, so let's look at 15, verse 15. And it says, and Elohim said further to Moshe, thus you are to say to the children of Yisrael, Yahuah, Elohim of your fathers, Eloha of Abraham, Elohim of Ishak, and Elohim of Isaac, of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my name forever, and this is a remembrance to all generations. And look at verse 18. And they shall listen to your voice, and shall come, you and the elders of Yisrael, to the sovereign of Mizraim, and you shall say to him, Yahuah Elohim of the Hebrews, the Ibrim, has sent me with us, has met with us, and now please let us go 3 days' journey into the wilderness to slaughter to Yahuah our Eloha. So he's explaining to him, this is our Eloha. This is it's our one. You have many deities, you have many mighty ones, but this is our mighty one. And of course we know the response of Pharaoh. He said, I don't know who he is. You know, he had to learn the mighty works in order to know. Look at verse, go to chapter 6, verse 7. And it repeats, he continues to repeat to let them know, Abraham, Ishak, and Jacob, the Elohim of my forefathers. And then in verse 7, he says, and shall take you as my people, and I shall be your Elohim, and you shall know that I am Yahuah, your Elohim, who is bringing you out from under the burdens of the Mizraim or Mizrites. And verse 9, and Moshe spoke thus to the children of Israel, and they did not listen to Moshe because of the shortness of his spirit or ruah, and from their spirit and their hard labor. Now look at chapter 8, verse 20, and it's going to start the understanding of who his name is and belonging to starts to transition from theirs, yours, to mine or my. As we look at verse 20, he says here, and Yahuwah said to Moshah, rise up early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh as he comes out to water, and say to the water, and say to him, thus says Yahuwah, let my people go so that they serve me. Or else, if you do not let my people go, see, I am sending, and then he goes on and proceed with the plagues. Now, you must understand that the 10 plagues are dealing with 10 mighty ones. So 10 mighty ones. If you can think right now while you're watching, and look at the different mighty ones of the United States. Let's look at the mighty ones of the United States and figure what is the top 10 of the mighty ones of the United States. Just think about it. Well, we know that the biggest one is the goddess of liberty. Okay, they call liberty in English, Roman, and all libertatis in Latin, in Greek. So that's the biggest statue they have, and then you got a bunch of other statues after that are semi-big, into 9, 12, 14 feet tall, and covered in gold or polished brass and expensive silver and all kinds of things that are all over city halls, all over different monuments, different places, and these are their mighty ones. But they're all dealing with fire, water, wind, air, and the energy, the elements, these particular elements that they're deities. Also, we know that the anti-mashiaych, when he comes, he will have no desire of woman, and he would not respect any form of the Mighty One of Yisrael, and he will worship, like the Babylonian deities, the elements of gold and silver and gems. And we know those things are all in computers and cell phones, and all those things are practically worshiped daily. 10 mighty ones, the top 10, because there was many mighty ones in Egypt. So these were the 10 top 10. And those plagues were specific for the 10, because Pharaoh says, who is Yahuwah? I don't know that mighty one. I don't know who he is. So, bringing up some new guy here in the camp, they're greater than mine. I'm just using a paraphrase of words, So he had to be proven, which we're going to see in Scripture, and to realize that he's going to recognize the mighty one, or Yahuwah, or El Shaddai, Yahuwah of Yisrael. So let's look at chapter 8, and let's look at 22. And in that day I shall separate the land of Goshen, in which my people dwell, that no swarms of flies shall be there, so that you know that I am, or Yahuwah, in the midst of the land. And I shall put a ransom, or a separation, between my people and your people. Tomorrow this shine shall be. I strongly believe that when the things start to happen in the world, and things hit the fan and go crazy, as the land of Goshen was a special place where they were protected from all the plagues, that is going to be a greater miracle that everywhere where the house of Yahuwah is, wherever his name, his Shem, is on the door, it says in the word, where my name is, I will protect. If they worship in that place and put my name, I will be there. I will protect you. I will cover you. I'll watch over you. So all the houses of Yahuwah that have his name at the door, speak his name, proclaim his name, they know his name, and the people are immersed in his presence and his word. And that, imagine millions of locations as Goshens, little Goshen locations of protection, where we can look across the street of the area of the land here. I can say street, but the land of the valley, and there's all kinds of bad things happening. But here is protected. Like many times fires would come right to the edge, but will not touch the land or come into the land in this area of the upper room. So in the same way, it's going to happen to the people of Yahuwah, that even if they're in crowded cities, in apartment buildings, they're going to be protected in their own little Goshen, because his Shem is there. And like when I fly around and I pray, I say a prayer. Yahuwah, I saw myself in the future. I know when I die, I'm not dying today on this plane. But for the sake of the people on this plane, protect us when it goes up, protect it as it flies, and protect it when it goes down. That everybody be safe. And Yahuwah Shem. And one person asked me one time, what are you? Because he saw me holding my hands like this, and not like a Catholic or something. And he says, I'm Yisrael. I'm from the house of Ephraim. I worship Yahuah, the Elohim of Israel. And he said, well, what do you pray when they play? Well, then I talked to him about how they fly in Israel and they say prayers. And Islam flies and they say prayers in their planes. But in America, everybody's worried about their phones and iPods and stuff like that. So I said, he says, do you have something to worry about the flight? No, I'm not praying for me. I'm fine. Because you're sitting by me, you're going to be fine. And he said, what? I said, because you're sitting with me, you're going to be fine. Everybody in this plane is going to be right because I got to get to California. So everybody's going to be okay. He said, what? Because of you? Yeah, because of me. Because I have Yahuwah. And I already know in the future I'm alive, so I can't die today. And he just looks at me and said, well, that's pretty confident, right? I said, oh, yeah, that is confident. Now, I'll know the time when it's my appointment, and then I'll probably get away from people so they won't go down with me. But, you know what I mean? But today, you're not going nowhere. And he started kind of grinning. He says, well, that's a little different, I says, yeah. So we have to have confidence of who we are and not have fear or fright of everything we do in the natural time, because we're in motion to make a commotion and share the Shem of Yahushua HaMashiach, Yahuwah, to the nations of the world. As we look at verse 25, and Pharaoh called to Moshah and Aaron and said, go slaughter to who? Your Elohim, your mighty one. And then in verse, he does it again. Pharaoh said, I am letting you go. Then you shall slaughter to Yahuwah, your Elohim, in the wilderness. Only do not go very far away. And then he says, pray for me. Anybody seen that? Ever seen that, Pharaoh? He says, hey, why don't you just pray? Throw one unto your mighty one for me too. You know what I mean? Yeah, I got all my thousands and I got my top 10, but throw one in for me too. You know what I mean? And so, but he's telling them, now, you know what's going on? He didn't even know the name Yahuwah. Now he's speaking his name as your mighty one. You want people around you to say, who lives there? Oh, that's that family that worship Yahuwah and Yahushua, the Hebrew mashiaych. Oh yeah, what's that about? You want them to say when you get out of your car, say, oh yeah, who's that lady? That guy or that lady that lived by your house or your apartment. They say, oh, that is the ones that worship Yahuwah, the mighty one of Yisrael. You want them to say that you are a worshiper of him. Just like Pharaoh was saying it already and exercising as he ping bombs down every of the top 10 of the mighty ones of Egypt. Okay, so let's keep going. Let's look at verse 20. Okay, we read 28. Let's go to chapter 9, verse 1. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, go into Pharaoh and speak to him. Thus says Yahuwah, Elohim of the Hebrews, let my people go so that they may serve me. We know that this is repetitive, but we want to see what's going on in the conversations. Okay, verse 13. He says, and Yahuwah said to Moshe, rise early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh and say to him, thus says Yahuwah, Elohim of the Hebrews, let my people go so that they serve me. So now it's becoming very clear that the Elohim, Yahuwah, is of the Hebrews. Ibri. Okay? Not mentioning Israel. He starts to say Israel later, but it's the Hebrews, the Ibri, the called out ones, the separate ones, the separated ones. That's their mighty one. And they don't have a collection of the top 10. They only got one mighty one. Now, picture this. And the Greek philosophy is the same as the Egyptian. They said, if you only got one mighty one, you must be very poor. You only got one deity, you must be real poor. Because only the rich can afford 100, 200 mighty ones. And you got more praying for you or helping you. They got the top 10. You must be real wealthy if you could sacrifice to the top 10 or the top 1,000. And so you must be real wealthy if you got many mighty ones. Okay, that was the mentality of Egypt, Babylon, as well as going into the Greek philosophies. If they were not atheists or agnostics or like a type of New Ager, because I found out through other writings that everything we do today is not new under the sun, that all the philosophies of today were operating in the time of Kepha and Shaul and our Messiah. Okay, let's keep reading. Let's go to chapter 10, verse 8. As we're reading and looking at this, and you're watching by a stream, you're a goy, and you're coming into the understanding that you're a goyim, a sojourner. You're a gorim. You're one that's going to coming into conversion of one of the sons of Moshah that was grafted into the house of Levite, through Aaron, because Moshah was a Levi. So, and they call them, the Hebrews call those gorim or gorim, okay, from that house of Mosheh's son. And so you're thinking, and you're pointing to the finger. Some people say, well, they worship, they say Shem. Well, that's disrespectful to call him Shem or Hashem. And once I know somebody's name, I'll never call you the name. A name or the name. I know your name, so I'm going to call you by your name. Okay? So you can recognize people by the way they could describe their creator and their Messiah or their belief system by what they say. And people will recognize it and say, well, they say, picture somebody that's really not knowledgeable. And they see an Orthodox Jew and they say, well, who do they worship? Oh, they worship the name. What? Yeah, they say the name all the time. They say Hashem, they say Adon or Adonai. Well, isn't that Adonis is a Greek god, and then also Adonai, isn't it a Babylonian deity or from the ancient Canaanites? So they're worshiping a Canaan deity, they say the name. So they're identified by that, but we know that they are covering the name. It's the art of infallibility. It's the LORDs of the Jews. Okay? But we're proclaiming his name, and people are going to look at us and point the finger. Oh, they worship Yahuah. And the Hebrew Messiah, Yahushua, the Elohim of Yisrael. And so when people ask me, they say, who do you worship? I worship Yahuah-yahuwah, the Hebrew Mashiaych. They say, oh, what do you mean? Isn't Jesus the Hebrew? No, that's a Greek Messiah. That's a Greek Christos Savior. He's not the Hebrew guy. Isn't he the same? No, he's not the same guy. It's a completely different guy. It's masqueraded as him, but it is not him. It's like, and repackage it and put another name on it. And so that's what they did. They took a tobe of followers of a sect, of Hebrew sect of the Nazir, which they say in Greek Nazoraim, and they took that sect and they repackaged it and pushed it out and competed with the house of Israel. Imagine if those strongholds were torn down and the competition was destroyed of Simon Magus, the sorcerer Patar, they call Peter, was destroyed, and he never went to Rome and never done all the stuff to bring what they call the Orthodox Catholics and eventually the Roman Catholics, Christians, okay? And bring in this. It would be just the Nazarenes. It would be the Nazirs. You know what I mean? It would be the house of Israel, that one of the sects, or the sect of the multiple sects of the Hebrew belief system, which is the Nazirs or the Nazarene. And so it's been repackaged and represented, but he's not the Mashiach. And when you tell people he's my Hebrew Mashiach, oh, you're saying that because you're Israel. No, there's only one Hebrew Messiah that was shed his blood on that stick, on that stake. And it's amazing how, when we were in Christianity and we were laying hands on the sick, we quote 1 Peter 2:24, who his own self bare own sins, own body on the tree, that we be dead to sin should live on the right, by whose stripes we are healed. But yet they want to call it a cross, but they just quoted tree. And it's quoted tree throughout the scriptures. And you look at the word cross or krust, didn't even exist in the year 1300. The word did not exist. It was more of a ta, or the letter ta in the shape of the tab, but they know the word krust did not exist, okay? And it was done and repackaged the ta and set it upright in order to manufacture rosaries, crucifix, for money and for people to pray and do multiple prayers to get their families out of hell into purgatory, and from purgatory to another place. Okay, so it's been repackaged, and nobody wants to know what's inside it. As we are maturing and learning what's inside if we go to the store, you look at it, I want to see what's inside this package, what I'm about to eat before I buy it and eat it. And you're looking at the package and reading the instructions and being very cautious and careful. When before, we were just like the Christian community, we just bought it and ate it. You didn't even open up and see what's all the GMO and all the chemistry and all the poison and all the garbage that's in the food. So as we become mature in Yahuwah, we're doing the same. This generation today they want to know what's in the package. Well, what's in it? Or they'll say, what's in it for me? You know what I mean? But what's in it before I put it in my mouth? What am I going to drink? What's in that soda? What is in this? Is it good for me? Is it bad for me? Is it going to make me gain weight? Is it going to make me lose weight? What is it? I want to know. And people are becoming more aware. In their spirituality, they're saying too, well, what is it? Who is he? What is it? I remember running into some Buddhists years ago. They were like a Buddhist. And they say the word born again. They say Christ. They believed in the Christ. They say Cristo or Christi, Spirit. He comes every 700 years in different monks. Right now it's the Dalai Lama. He has that spirit. So, and that he's the anointed one for the time. They call Christi, which is the Greek word, the anointed one. So, and for a minute I'm listening to him and I had to say, well, what do you mean? And I had to find out who they were pointing to the package. Who was their Messiah? In the Rastafarians, they have a different offshoot religious belief. They have a man that used to be a king of their country. They call him the mashiaych, the Messiah. They say Yah, but they say Jah instead of Yah for the Creator. And they put him on a cross, they put him on a throne and everything else. This guy really lived. He was a human being that lived. And he brought salvation, you would say, or freedom to their land from the colonists, conquerors, okay? And they made him a Messiah, and they call him, he's our Mashiach. He's our Messiah. He's our Savior. And they pray to him and everything else. And you think they're worshiping Yah and smoking pot. No. It's a different person, a different package, and a different thing, okay? But this generation wants to know and look in it, and the package, and read the fine print and get to the original. Because you notice, isn't it strange that when you look at your package, everything's in Greek and Latin. So you got to go to books to research what the chemistry of Greek and Latin they're using, these Greek words in your food. Can't be English or normal, something you can understand. You have a caution sign, it causes cancer just like a cigarette. You know what I mean? They have to make it secretive and disguise it to repackage it and for delivery for you to take it and eat it and put a spell on you. Because some foods literally make you addicted to come back for more. Okay, once it's in your glands, your memory glands and your chemistry of your body, and you become addicted, and they have addicted chemistry, and they know it, and they put chemistry of addiction for certain foods and drinks. Okay, so let's go on. So as we look at the real package, the Hebrew Messiah, let's look at we're still in 10. Let's look at the verse 16 and 17, and it says here, and Pharaoh then called Moshah and Aaron and in haste and said, I have sinned against Yahuwah, your Elohim, and against you. So now he's saying, I not only sinned against Yahuwah, but I've sinned against you, because what he did, he promised them to let him go, and he did it. So this is what tells you when you look at this carefully. All religion, every religion you could think of except witchcraft is a different form of belief system, of a type of religion. They have penance, They know when they're lying, and they need to ask forgiveness of sins of lying. They know that they could be deceivers, and that's a sin to Buddhists, to Hindus, to the believers of the deity of Amun. They say amen, of Egypt. If I lied to you, I got to ask you for forgiveness. That's what he just said to him right now to Moses. I even sin against you. Because his religious belief teaches them that. So they have a form of Elohimness, but they deny the power of the true Aloha. Okay, the true Yahuah. So, it's a form of it. Let's look at chapter 16, verse 12. I have heard the grumbling of the children of Yisrael. Speak to them, saying, between evenings you are to eat meat, and in the morning you are to be satisfied with bread. And you shall know that I am Yahuah, your Elohim. He's convincing and beating up the top 10 of Egypt. He's convincing Pharaoh who Yahuwah is, the Elohim of the Hebrews and the Israelites. And at the same time, Israel is being convinced to claim and possess the Shem, the true name of Yahuwah. Are you hearing me? All this activity is going on, and they're growing and maturing. The same thing for us. We are growing and maturing into Yahuwah and knowing his name to have a sure confidence and sure foundation to when somebody asks you, who are you? What are you? What do you believe in? Are you a Christian? Are you when you say Nazarene, they think you're a Nazarite. They package you of this Christian religion that is, it's okay, but it's kind of off, and they don't use none of the correct names. So I don't want to be labeled as a Nazarite. I want to be labeled as a Nazarene or Nazir in Hebrew, okay, the called out watchman of the Torah. So, but people like to aim and package you and identify you because they think they're shopping at Walmart to identify everything. Go to aisle 10, they have all the diapers, every brand. Go to aisle 9 and all the laundry soap is there. They want to identify you what line you are and what package you are because they cannot comprehend because the people have been conditioned to say something. But they don't understand. When you say you're Ibri, Yasharel, from the house of Ephraim or Benjamin, or you're one of the houses, you know what comes with that package? Yahuwah comes with that package. You're from the house that believes in the one and only Aloha, Elohim, Yahuwah. That's who comes with that package. So we need to let the world know, and we need to have confidence and boldness when you say it, because as you begin to say it with boldness and confidence, people can see it. Do you remember the first time when somebody asked you, well, what religion or what are you? And you went, oh man, you don't even know what you are, dude? You know what I mean? You must be Jew, Yahudi, you know? And he says, well, what are you? And see, so once you have studied to show yourself approved, a workman rightly dividing the word of truth, and you know, according to the scriptures, that most of the tribes that are scattered are Ephraim, and you can possess that claim as the house of Ephraim from Yosef coming out of Egypt, because they came out of Egypt, and all around you is Egypt. Until you get your DNA and you see the percentage, and then you have more confidence. Like that one lady, she said, 1 week ago, I thought I was Mexican. And then 3 days after that, I knew that through my grandfather, I was Sephardic. I was from Sicilian Spain. And then now I know I am Sephardim. And she said it with boldness because she knows that she knows. Cost her $700-800, and she knows. You know what I mean? With confidence that she's from the tribe of the house of the Sephardim. Okay, so we are coming out, and look at the streets. I go to places. I walk into places, and my wife gets upset. She thinks somebody's going to punch me out someday. And I see some guy, some white boy with big old post earrings, big old giant post. I said, dude, what tribe are you from? He said, what? What house are you from? And his friend will say, I am from the Scottish family of the blah blah and the clan of something. I said, that's a good answer. Give me a hug, bro. And the guy said, I really don't know. He said, talk to your friend. Help your buddy out. Find out who he is. See, because once you find what tribe and clan you are, you can see the sojourning of Israel or from Noah. You can see the links all spread it all over the world. And then once you get that confidence, then you get grafted into the house of Israel, and then you know who you are. Because you see, when I was studying DNA, I found out they went to the Discovery Channel, went to a place in the lower part of Africa. These people are so black, they are black. They're real blacks, the kind of black people I remember. Okay? And so, because I tell some black people, they call themselves black. I said, dude, I'm darker than you, so what do you call yourself? You know, you must be a Chican or a brownie or something, or Middle Eastern. You're not black no more. Maybe your great-great-grandfather. You know, and I don't mean to say that racial, but they went down there, and the guy says this, they are from the tribe of Benjamin. He said, skin, hair, and eyes is 1% of DNA. The rest is eternal. And I said, they did the test of 20% of the tribe of those people. And those people that had robes, they were Israelite, they claimed to be from the tribe of Israel. They knew the tribe they were. They went down, are you Jew? They said, Judah, no, we are. They knew who they were. And when they took their blood and took it to Jerusalem and tested it, they said, and the guy said, the problem is everybody looks at your outside of the 1% of DNA. In other words, what you look in the mirror is just skin surface. That's all. What's inside you is what you are about. I believe even further that if you accept the Hebrew Messiah and his atoning blood, and his blood has cleansed you from your sins, and his blood has been transformed, and they use the word born again, which is only 100-something years old. It was regened in Greek. There's 2 to 3 Greek words, depending what you look at. It's regenerated or regened. Your blood has been regened. So what's inside you? I believe that many people, when they are truly converted with the atoning blood, and they get a transfusion of the blood of the Hebrew Messiah in their life, in their Hayim, and they start living it out and walking it, keeping covenant, keeping the feast, they're confessing. You know what's going to happen to your DNA? It changes. It changes completely. I remember when Dr. Foster in Lompoc Federal Bureau of Prison, when I was a chaplain, he sat down and showed me science. Why they call the word 7 to life and 5 to life, or 2 life sentences, 7, 7, 7s. Because they said, according to your education and your learning and your choice of decisions, your DNA starts to change. When you're 14, you don't do it when you're 7. When you're 21, you don't do it when you're 14. When you're every 7 years. It could get worse or better. So he did a personal research. This particular, you can look him online. He was awarded he was an Apache Native American, and he was the top psychology of the Federal Bureau of Prisons of all of them throughout Alaska and the United States. Top dog was a believer and an Apache Native. Okay? And he did a research and wrote several books. They took DNA of men coming in prison, and they took DNA of men 10, 15 years later that were serving maybe in the Christian community or in the Hebrew community, some way they were religious. You know what they found? That the numbers of what they were in crime for or in prison for dropped, and other numbers of DNA increased. Even one guy that was a dress changer, feminine homosexual, got converted, got delivered. He had HIV. He got healed from HIV. He just became a man again, and serving the Creator, and he was converting other gay men. I know it's hard, but that's what he was doing. That was his job. I'm converting these people, man. They're going to get right and get saved. Sin is sin. Robbing a bank and homosexuality, they'll both take you to hell. That's what he used to say. And when they checked his blood, you know what he had? He had lowest numbers of homosexual, because everybody's got a number of feminine in their body. Matter of fact, this will trip you out. When men laugh, your numbers go into feminine. When we start cracking up, it becomes feminine. your numbers go into feminine, you know. So you can see why when we're being hardcore dudes, we don't like to smile or laugh. We're trying to keep the macho on us, you know what I mean? Keep all the masculine we can hang on to, you know. And so, but when he showed me that, it opened the door, and he proved to the federal bureau of prison that a man can serve 21 years, 3 lives or more, and their DNA is changed, and they can get out and never come back. He proved to the psychology and the Federal Bureau of Prisons, it is wrong to label. It's a time we need to come that when a man gets out and stays out so many years, you need to wipe his jacket and clear the computer because he's not the same person no more. He proved that. So, you know, to a convict, Dr. Foster was like on our side. You know what I mean? This guy's on our table to turn the table, because today they got the goddess Justice, which is Dyke. That's her name, Dyke, with the blindfold. And she has computers to hold your jacket to the day you die. Are you hearing me? And so, I believe strongly that when you accept the Hebrew Messiah and his atoning, cleansing blood, there's a DNA transfusion. There's a transformation. In Catholicism and Christianity, when they get emerged backwards, in a backward, not in the mikvah or tevilah in the proper way, they are being emerged. That's why Jesuits say that once we got them as babies, we'll have them for life, because they are doing a DNA spiritual transition for that baby or that person. It is a spiritual thing going on to them. But when we accept the Hebrew Messiah, I believe that many of you, if you have your DNA checked, your tribe will pop out. Strong numbers. Because of the blood of Yahuah, through his son Yahushua, that has been blood transfusion. A blood transfusion. My wife used to do that all when she does surgery. She pray for babies, or pray for there's women that come in that are pregnant and they're drug addicts, and she grabs the baby and she speaks into the baby and prays into the baby while she's cleaning the baby, and the woman don't even know. You know what I mean? Because she just had it, and she's like, what's going on here? And she sees my wife speaking Hebrew into the baby and speaking into the baby. You shall never touch drugs. You shall never crave what your mother craved. And that DNA I command to be changed. Powerful testimony right here in this hospital, because somebody has to stand in the gap for those babies that are born that way. And if you get them coming out of the womb of blood, you could stand on the blood of the Hebrew Messiah and say, this one belongs to Yahuwah. This one belongs to Yahushua. They will not taste drugs and alcohol. They will not taste the garbage of this world. They will not live in adultery and fornication. They will be married to one man, and one man to one woman. You hear me? And when you're speaking in their young and started off, something I believe starts to happen like a rudder on a boat. You just turn the degree, and he's going to end up over here, completely over there with the Yahuwah. How many of you believe that too? How many believe in watching by stream that you know that you wouldn't even come to Yahuwah as your Elohim and even desire to know? You'll be like with blinder veils, like many of our Christian community friends. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to study. They don't want to read. It's too hard. They are comfortable in the little microwave learning that they're learning from somebody else, microwave, preconceived theology. And so, but we have come out because we know that we're different. We know that we belong to the house of Israel, and we get grafted in, or we find our bloodline. It doesn't matter. Even the Yahudi, or the people that are Jewish, like I was in my bloodline, we all have to be grafted into the blood of the Messiah. We all have to have his atoning blood. Every single one of us. How many of me agree? Say Amen. So let's go to 23:25, Shemot, Exodus. And you shall serve Yahuwah, your Elohim, or Eloha, and he shall baruch your bread and your water, and I shall remove sickness from your midst. He promised to remove the sickness from the midst of us as you serve and know that he is your Yahuwah Elohim. Look at, we're going to Joshua chapter 9. Verse 9, we're going to skim through it real quick now. I'm skipping some stuff. So they said to him, verse 9 of chapter 9 of Yahushua, thank you. From a land very far off your servants have come because of the name of Yahuah, your Elohim, for we have heard the report of him and all that he did in Mitzrayim. These were people that watching Israel after they left the 40 years in the wilderness, and they're starting to go into the land and they're conquering. They they deceived the leaders of Israel, and they said, we heard of the name of your Elohim. So people were saying, who is those millions of people coming out of the wilderness? Well, they're Ibri, Yasharel, and they serve Yahuah the Aloha. Are you hearing me? That's who they are. They serve the one Aloha, the one Elohim. They serve the one they call Yahuah. And before the mountain, he was the one that had no name, that burned in the mountain. Okay? And let's go on to chapter 23, same book, and it's written, and you should be very strong to guard and to do all that is written in the book of the Torah of Moshah, so as not to turn aside from it to right or left, so as not to go in among these races or nations or goy, these who remain among you, and make no mention of the name of their Mighty One, their El, okay, ones, nor swear by them, nor serve them, nor bow to them, but cling to Yahuah, your Elohim, your one, as you have done in this day. And verse 9, and Yahuwah has driven out from before you the great and strong nations. As for you, no one has stood against you to this day. One man of you put 1,000 to flight, for Yahuwah, your Aloha, is he who is fighting for you, as he has promised you, and you shall diligently guard yourselves to love Yahuwah, your Elohim. So he's saying these are the things around you, the protection and battle, the everything is because of your Aloha, your Elohim, Yahuwah. And to swear and only abide by him, and not to say or swear to the other mighty ones, which we were all sojourning, were calling out and crying to other mighty ones, crying out to them, seeking them. The more the better. One guy in court, I remember he was holding his hand and here in court, and I said, what are you doing, dude? And he opened his shirt. He had a Muslim sign, he had a Buddhist sign, he had a Hebrew David star, and he had this cross. And I said, I'm praying to all of them because I need a lot of help today. You see how people are. They mention the name of other mighty ones, and they think it works, and demons can help it work temporarily. They can temporarily make it work. The scripture says very plainly that if a Navi, a prophet, comes to you and does signs and wonders and miracles in the name of another mighty one, don't follow them. That's to prove to you to see if you're going to go astray or not. To see if you're going to be misled or if you're going to hang on to the one and true Yahuwah. And let's go on quickly to chapter 24, verse 14. And now revere Yahuwah, serve him in the perfection of his truth, and put away the mighty ones which your fathers served beyond the river and in Mitzrayim, and serve Yahuwah. And if it seems evil in your eyes to serve Yahuwah, choose for yourself this day whom you are going to serve, whether it be the mighty ones which your fathers served that were beyond the river, or the mighty ones of the Amorites to whose land you dwell. But I and my house we serve Yahuwah. Verse 17, for Yahuwah, our Elohim. Now they're saying, our Elohim, the people of Israel. Now they're claiming and possessing him. And of course, when they mean by river, they mean the crossing over or mikvah or tevilah, the dipping, the immersion. They call baptism in Christianity, but it's tevilah or mikvah, and to be immersed and cleansed and washed, because in the Hebrew tradition, when you get immersed, you go straight down dipping. But before you do, you renounce the deities that you used to call on. And when you come out of the water, you say, I make Yahuah my Elohim, and I serve the Elohim of Yisrael. From this day forward, I obey the Torah, I obey the Tanakh, the scriptures, I follow the feast of the Shabbat, and they confess everything they're going to live by when they cross the river. And the same thing happened to the Israelites. They crossed the river, and they say now, our Elohim. After all the miracles and the 40 years of wilderness and all the death and all the things, now they're possessing the promises of who their Elohim is. Because in Egypt, they were mixed up. How many of you know right now we're in Egypt? And it's really mixed up. It's hard to tell what's what. And you can see people born into houses of mixture. Families born into houses of new age and funny religions or no religion at all, or new age. And because of the system we live in of this age and the people and the education, they don't know who their Elohim is, or they don't even have an Elohim. Or they're calling out the mighty ones of the strangers of the land that lives by them, that serve by them. We're going to go to verse 27 quickly. For if you forsake Yahuwah and shall serve mighty ones of a stranger, then he shall turn back and do you evil and consume you after he has been good to you. And the people said to Yahushua, no, but we do serve Yahuwah. And then Yahushua said to the people, you are witness against yourself that you have chosen Yahuwah for yourself to serve him. And they said, witness, we bear witness. And now put away the mighty ones of the strangers, for which are in the midst of you, and incline your heart to Yahuwah Elohim of Yisrael. So put it all off. And it's 24. And the people said to Yeshua, Yahuwah, our Elohim, we serve, and his voice we obey. Hallelujah. Praise Yahuwah. There's a proclamation that needs to be done, but there's a warning. Once we know the truth, how can we go back? How can you go back to the lie? How can you go back to deception? How could you masquerade? I can't even say the words anymore, because I know what they are so in detail. That is, I said, no way I could say those words out of my mouth, because I made a covenant that these lips and this mouth and my eyes shall serve and see and proclaim and declare Yahuwah only in worship and in communication. Only to use those words in order to tell people that they're in the box with evil things. Okay, then I use those words. And we're going to use one more verse, and we're going to shut down. And 1 Samuel chapter 2, one more chapter. Chapter 2, verse 1, in Shamuel, who is your mighty one? Who's the one you serve? Forget what your forefathers beyond the river, what they'd serve. What do you serve on this side of the river? What is his Shem? What is his name? And what are you going to proclaim to your children and children's children? The name, the true Shem, the true name of Yahuwah and our Hebrew Mashiach, Yahushua. In 1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 1, and Hannah prayed and said, my heart rejoices in Yahuwah. My horn has been high in Yahuwah. My mouth is open wide over my enemies, for I have rejoiced in your deliverance. There is no one Kodesh like Yahuwah, for there is no one besides you, and there is no rock like our Elohim. This is after she had a miracle holding on for 9 months, and she received a child, which eventually became Samuel, chapter 17. And I'm actually going to close with chapter 17 of Samuel. And we saw what Hannah said. Now we're going to look at David, what he said, and we're going to stop there, and I'll do a second half later. Chapter 17, 45. And David said to the Philistine, you come to me with a sword and with a spear and with a javelin, but I come to you in the name of Yahuwah of hosts, Ha-Aloha, or Elohim, of the armies of Yisrael, whom you have reproached. This day Yahuwah shall deliver you into my hand, and I shall strike you and take your head from you and give your carcass to the camp of the Philistines today, to the birds of the ravens and the wild beasts of the earth, so that all the earth know that Elohim is for Yisrael. Proclaiming, declaring, while he's looking at a giant that has swords and weapons, and he's got a slingshot with 5 smooth rocks. I mean, you can't believe this. But you can, because he knows and knows who he is. He knows and knows. He not only with confidence against the bear and a lion defending his sheep, but also through the worship, made over 4,000 instruments, worshiping and praising the Creator, feeling his ruah. He knows with confidence, no matter what, he's going to take this dude down. And we must be able to take the religious spirit down. It seems big. It seems large. It has all these technical, shiny armor and weapons and technology. They have this big groups, the size of stadiums, and it looks hard. But very soon, Yahuwah is going to ignite the house of Yisrael. And the people with the ruah of Yahuwah, in the ruah of Eliyahu, thousands of people are going to go out with fire out of their mouth, and they're going to proclaim his Shem, proclaim his name. They're going to walk into those pagan Circe camps and stop the mouth of the false prophets, and their arms are going to freeze. Their tongues are going to stick to the roof of their mouth and not be able to call on the pagan Jesu or Yesu. They're not going to be able to call on him no more. They're going to stick and get stuck. And we're going to proclaim and demonstrate his Shem and heal the sick, raise the dead, and cleanse the leper. But we must be cleansed from our leprosy. We must go through the spiritual Jordan of mikvah and tavelah and be immersed and renounce them and know that we know who we are in mashiaych and the Moshah. We know who he is to us and proclaim, because see, people, when they hear you say it, that you know, they want that. There's so many in the Christian community. They're hungry, they're thirsty, and they're lost, sitting in these dens of Greek mythology goddesses, and they don't even know where to do or where to go, because traditionally that's all they had, that's all they know. They were born into, just like an Islamic child, that's all they're born into. The same thing with our Christian community friends, and we were a part of it the same way. That's all they knew. But you know what? It's going to take one of us with boldness to proclaim, even like a child with no hair in his face, David, with 5 smooth stones of scripture, to say, call on no other mighty ones but the mighty one of Yisrael. Stop using those pagan deities. Stop following the Pope of Christianity and his doctrine of demons that's resurrecting all over the world in the New Age system. Come out from them. People are just waiting and wondering. I had a friend in Texas. I close with this. He knew one of the men that was sitting in the front of the platform at Kenneth Copeland's meeting when Palmer introduced the Pope and this unity system of the charismatic spirits. So you know what he did, Chuck? He called him up. I sent him the video. He said he saw the video. He recognized, froze it. He called him up the next day. He said, are you accepting that doctrine of demons of the last days to unite with the Babylon, mother harlot? Are you accepting it? And he didn't even call him back. He had the secretary text him back and say that, I don't know what I'm going to do next. Because he's ordained from them. But he was silent. You know what my friend said? I was so disappointed. I expect him to say, I renounced, I resigned, I left that place and never went back. But he didn't hear that from him. Because they're born and raised in that garbage. They cross the river of demons and been possessed with these kundalini spirits. But the people, it's the leaders that are in damnation right now, like the Pharisees were in damnation to the house of Israel. The house of Israel chose the Mashiach, Yahushua. All the first believers were not Christian. They were Nazarenes being converted to the Hebrew Messiah. They're all Jews and Israelites. The leadership is the problem that happened then, and the leadership is the ones today. That's why we need to catch these young people and the people in confusion and the youngsters that are hungry to know the truth and want to know the truth. They're questioning. They're looking on the internet. They're finding out, wait a minute, that's not his name. That's not real. This is that. What are we eating? And they're just like, whoa, what's going on in this world? And they're empty and lost. And if we don't grab them and put them and give them the Hebrew Messiah and emerge them and deliver them and cast the demons out, they're going to be doomed, wandering or caught up in some new age mythologies, of other forms. Yahuwah, I ask you to Baruch the people coming in, Baruch them going out. Baruch their bread they're going to break for Shabbat and the food that they're going to eat. Baruch the water and the sweet wine they're going to drink and the fellowship. Baruch them and Berekot their Yom this day in the Shem of Yahushua to all the listeners of the Mishporka and the Goyim and the Goyim that are coming out and coming in to the house of Yisrael. Amen, amen. Thank you for watching Eagles Haven Ministry of the Upper Room of Banning, California. We appreciate it. If you got anything, blog me. Thank you for the blogs you are blogging me in appreciation of this ministry. And we appreciate you and thank you for your response. And just go ahead and make copies of the DVDs. If you want copies, I will make copies and send them to you. If you need them to make master copies for evangelism, also look at my wife Abia's section of Yahuah worship. And if you want some music, we'll send you some worship for your Shabbat service in the Shem of Yeshua. Go with Yahuwah. He is your Elohim. Amen and amen.